made 4 changes for that side to face Italy. Why is this the right game for Ben Teo to make his first Test start?
Well, he's very impressive coming off the bench against Wales. We just feel, it's a great opportunity for us to see if he can be a third option for us at 13. We know we've got Jonathan Joseph, who's an outstanding player, and Elliot Daly, we know can play 13 as well. And leading towards the World Cup, we want to have 3 options in each position.
What were the other combinations that you were thinking about playing in this game? Was there ever a point when you thought you'd play Owen Farrell at 10 to allow you to have Teo and Daly in the midfield?
If I read the newspapers, it would have been, but I don't read the newspapers, so no, I was pretty keen to play this right from the full time of the Wales game.
No further back than that, you decided straight away?
Well, one of the things I always try to do is pick the side as quickly as I can after the last game and have a clear view of it, make sure we get the players prepared for their positions psychologically and physically, and certainly after the game, that's how I felt.
Farrell wins his 50th cap. You said when you announced the team you hope his next 50 are even better than the 50 he's had. Where's there room for improvement?
Well, I think, like anyone, he can improve in terms of his consistency of his skill, and he will. He's still a young guy, 24. Physically, he's still developing. He hasn't developed his speed profile as well as he can, and he will. He'll get quicker, he'll get stronger, he'll get more powerful, and he'll be more consistent in his decision-making. So, I think his next 50 is going to be a delight to watch.
When that consistency over decision-making comes, will he be your captain?
Well, I don't think we need to talk about that or decide about that now. Dylan's doing a great job for us, but he's certainly one of those guys that's got leadership potential.
We mentioned a few famous faces down at training this week. Alan Pardew was here earlier in the week, and so was Antonio Conte, who you were very impressed by. What did you like so much about him?
Just his focus, how focused he was on developing his team, the process he went about to change Chelsea from being a dysfunctional team into a great winning team. It was quite enlightening, and you could see how desirous he was of getting his team right. And it's always great to meet coaches like him.
I know you've met a lot of Premier League coaches, and in the past it's always been Pep Guardiola, hasn't it, as your absolute favourite, the man that you think is the greatest success. Has he got a close battle with Conte to stay #1 for you?
I think they're both, enormously impressive coaches, and the Premier League is so lucky to have such high quality coaches, and you can see with the quality of football that's played in the Premier League that, the coaches influence it greatly.
You spoke in the press conference about Claudio Ranieri and how shocked and surprised you were to see him go. I guess you must just be a bit relieved you don't work in football, you work in rugby, or perhaps you feel that actually rugby's not immune to that hiring and firing that we've seen so often in football.
Well, I think it's going to come in rugby, and I think as each game gets more professional, and rugby's still only a young sport, those pressures of winning and the pressures to make changes will become even more and more exact. And you feel for a guy like Ranieri, he's obviously done a super job there. Things haven't panned out post the championship, and no one knows the reason, whether it's the players or whether it's the coaches or whether it's the staff or whether it's the owners. No one really knows, but he pays the price as managers generally do. But I'm sure he'll bounce back and find a good job somewhere else.
There is some suggestion of player power. Have you been a coach or a player in a dressing room where the players have just got a little bit maybe too big for their boots?
I think that's always a favourite byline when a coach gets sacked, it's player power. What I always find is that, there's a relationship going on all the time. It's like a husband and wife, there's give and take, and you have good periods and you have bad periods, and you've got to try to fight through those. And that's what it's like between a player and a coach. And, at the moment, probably the relationship between the players and Claudio wasn't at its best, but, if time was given, maybe it would have improved, or maybe it would have got worse. No one knows.
It's interesting that you've used Leicester there as an example to your players this week of what can happen when you reach and achieve things in sport and how quickly it can change. Explain exactly how you have used that ahead of this game against Italy on the weekend.
Well, just as an example of what can happen when you're successful and how diligent you have to be when you're successful. Because if you turn a blind eye to certain things and you allow certain things to happen, people start taking shortcuts, and as soon as you start taking shortcuts, it multiplies, and then you've got a bigger problem.
And just finally, I know you sat down with Conor O'Shea, the Italy coach, before the Six Nations and had a coffee with him, and he said it was great to get the insight. I think you sort of helped him in terms of what you did with Japan. I'm guessing this week there's not been friendly coffees, have there?
There's no coffee this week. He's got to buy me a red wine after the game, hopefully. And I hope he's got a nice bottle of Italian red wine for me.
What about the job he's done? Because it was a tough ask, wasn't it?
Oh, I think, all coaching jobs are tough, but Italy's a particularly tough job. They're in the Six Nations, which is enormously high quality. They've got a small player base. They don't have a great tradition of producing consistent teams. So Connor's gone in there, had a win against South Africa, which they've never done before. So, he's immediately got them on the right start.